was blue. Be red.
All right.
The lights.
So we got, all I know is your name is Rabbit. What's your real name?
Rick.
Rick.
Troumbly.
Troumbly. Why do they call you Rabbit?
Oh, there's probably a few different reasons, but the old man was Bugsy.
Bugsy.
And my brother's Bugsy Jr., and I think they just ran out of it, and they just figured they called me Rabbit.
Okay.
No, it's not from jumping from hole to hole, in case you were wondering.
We're talking spearing still, right?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
All right, so we'll start it off here right now. What's your favorite spearing memory?
Well, that would have to be the 25-pounder.
25
Lake of the
pounds.
Woods.
Okay, how long ago?
About 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
It was the craziest thing that happened. We're typically at that first day, we go back into the resort at noon religiously. I mean, no matter what. But somebody had just gone through the ice right on Morris Point, city slickers on three-wheelers. And we're just about to leave, and we heard all that commotion, so we were out there watching them guys try to retrieve that three-wheeler. And it's probably about 12:30 now. The sun's shining. We've been outside talking. We walked back into the shanty and moving our chairs, throwing them outside, and talking and moving everything around on the floor. And we're reeling up our rigs. And I got a sucker, and I got one of the other one of what's his name? Harley Reagan's wounded minnows.
Wobbler?
Yeah.
Wobblers, yeah.
And I pulled that sucker up, and then we were still talking about what was going on outside there. And my partner, he already had all his stuff already reeled up, and I was on Harley's wobbler, and I'm reeling on him, talking to my buddy like this. Door open, talking, moving everything, went like this. That wobbler was about this far from the top of the water, from underneath me. This fish just come up. He didn't just break the water. He grabbed that thing so hard, he came out of the water in my house and rolled. I mean, just right there in front of me. You know, he's just wide. I mean, you talk about just what a rush. Down he went, splashed all the way up the side of the inside the spear house. And I mean, I didn't need to say nothing to my buddy, because he could see what just happened, And I told him, shut the door and get your spear. So we each got ready, and usually, I mean, do you think that thing's ever coming back? No way. So we're sitting there, and we're staring down the holes, just ready. And I just happened to look over. I have a double hole house. There's a hole here and a hole here. And you sit kitty wampus right like this. And I was staring down the hole, and I just happened to look over like this. Here, that fish was right underneath my buddy's feet. All I could see is his face. And I knew it was that same, it's big. And it's underneath, and it's not moving. And I'm like, he's staring in the direction. There's nothing down there. He's staring in the direction. And I'm just thinking, any second, he's either going to turn and go, or he's going to go fast. So I just did a Hail Mary. And I had to. Normally, I won't do that on something smaller. I don't want to wound him.
Right.
So I just threw it in that direction. And when I grabbed that rope, started pulling it up, usually, we got all the bubbles, and then you got a limp rope, because you missed them. But I started pulling on that thing, and it started getting taut, and he picked up on that, and that fish was swimming with the bet spear in his back. He was hit perfect.
Yeah. That was going to be my question, is what spear were you using?
I was using 6-10.
6-10 Milton?
He was floating around with that spear like it wasn't even there. I mean, it was unbelievable. I just couldn't believe that. I took that shot, and you couldn't lay that fish out and take the spear and go like that and get it more perfect. You'd never do it again,
Right.
In a million years, it was the greatest thing ever.
What year was that?
It was like 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Then, of course, we pull him up, and I just pinned him right to the wall, because I've lost him that way, too. I've had big fish on, and just as you're pulling him out, once he breaks that water, and he's wobbling around. He got off, get on the floor, and wiggled right into the hole.
Oh, no.
Had that happen. But I got him out. I threw my spear, the fish, It was so tangled up. There's chairs going with it that were tangled around, around the lake. Oh, it was, and I dove outside there and I grabbed that fish. And I had that tape measure on there. And I got to like 39 and I just threw the tape. I knew it was over 40. It was like 42 and a half or 43. It's 25 and a half pounds.
Nice.
And yeah, we had pictures. They had celebration drink on it. Right out of the ice. It was a good time.
Yeah.
That was mine. But I got so many stories of where it didn't come, it didn't end up that way because it's just like bow hunting, there's always something that happens. When that big one finally comes, I've seen some huge fish, especially up in Canada there, at that Bass Lake. We used to go in on dog sled trip up there.
Yeah.
We used to go every year. But we see Rob, that's where Rob jams a spear to 33 and a half pounder.
Oh yeah.
He was howling like a wolf out in the lake.
Like
Yeah,
the
I've
sturgeon
He
guys
was.
when they get a sturgeon.
And I looked out, it looked like he had a dolphin in his hands and he was trying to hold it. It was wiggling his whole body. It was just, and it was only like 42, but it was just a pig. It
Yeah.
didn't even look like a northern, really.
Yeah, I think he's told me
It's
that
weird.
story.
But yeah, it's weird when you would look at it. But
What
that
kind of
was my
spear?
story.
What kind of spear do you normally use?
I use bets, 6. But then I've tried others, I'll try them out.
You ever use a Troumbly?
Yeah, I have. But you know what I'm going to use this year? Where is it?
Is it on the table?
It's like using a Cadillac in a demolition derby, right?
I'm going to use the Godfather spear.
The genre.
It's going in the water.
Yeah, it's a beautiful
I have to
spear.
do it. I have to do it. It's either with that one or the other one.
Can you tell us a little bit about a genre? Like just what
History.
do you know? What do you know?
Geez, I don't know everything about, I got the guys, the magazine and everything. And I've read about him and I listen to stories and everything. But, hey, the guy came over here, as a trades person, and at that time, it was pretty primitive on the machining, but, they finished everything with a file. And their machining was just low end, just rough stuff. It wasn't very accurate. So, I mean, what those guys could do with the equipment that they had and to turn out some of this stuff is just mind-boggling to me. Johnner is just, he's the god in this whole spear thing as far as I'm concerned.
How old approximately is that spear?
I'd just be guessing at 30s.
He didn't mark them anywhere?
No, that one actually is pretty cool because the handle telescopes out another 3 or 4 feet
Yeah.
with a mechanism that he's got inside there. I mean, who thinks of, a guy like him will think about that.
And he made some pretty cool decoys too. Didn't
Oh
he?
yeah, like the world record.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
170-some thousand
169
dollars.
that was there.
Yeah.
That was in front of me.
I've never seen one in real life. Well, I've never seen one of his spears either.
Well,
so
up on that mobile where he took that spear down from,
Yep.
there's a mobile up there with the fish and fish. It's a replica.
Yeah.
I can't afford a real one.
CB Lewis's.
Yeah, CB Lewis does a really nice job
Yeah, he makes some awesome fish.
making a fish and fish. It looks just like Janner's.
Yep, the
The
ghost
guy,
fish.
look at the guy. He comes over here, and what I heard, he jumped off the boat before it got to the dock,
Where did he come from?
Germany. And I don't know. It's just different people talking, and he really never liked to have his picture taken.
Okay.
wasn't he? I heard he was kind of a cranky guy.
Yeah, and he was German. So, yeah, I heard he jumped off the ship before it got to dock. And then there was reasons why they didn't want their picture taken and why he jumped off. And he actually went to Canada first. He didn't come into the U.S. When he jumped out, he went to Canada first and then came across.
Okay.
That's what I heard. And, they had you read the article. Didn't he have like a liquor, like a bar or a liquor store there at the lake? I could just see that, coming off the lake in the 20s and 30s and going in there. I'm talking to those guys. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
they were feeding their family.
Yeah. And he's making, I mean, take a look at his fish. I mean, that is so far out there that, I mean, look at that. He paints with his fingers. He's just a true artist in everything that he touched.
Most of his fish were walnut, weren't they?
Yep, black walnut.
Hard.
How do you suppose he carved that? Did he?
That's the only thing he's got, metal tools. He didn't use any, he didn't have nothing.
I've run walnut on a sander, and it's almost like sparks fly when you.
Yeah.
I
It's
can't
like
imagine
working with- it's
hand
like
carving
working
that.
with,
Cement.
Well, yeah, and he used a lot of stainless steel, but the greatest stainless steel back then was not like we have today. We have like a lot better grades. So a lot of people didn't really want to go with the stainless back in the day because it wasn't. They thought it was too pliable, you know. But today's stainless, you know, you got the rust inhibitive, you know, aspect to it, but you got the strength, and actually some of it's even is hardenable. So that's what I use today. 17.4.
How many spears do they figure Johnner made?
Not very many. You know, there's really not a number.
Like under 500, would you say?
Oh, definitely. Oh,
Under
definitely.
100?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're talking. I asked the person that question. I think it's under 20.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, and to get one, I mean, I couldn't believe it when I got that one. When I won that one, we were down at Purim when I was on that auction.
Yeah.
I was running outside, on the phone, you know, and I'm bidding on a Janner spear, and I'm at the Purim.
I
Decoy
remember
show.
seeing you run out the door.
Oh, I ran out there. I'm on there. I can't hear him. I'm thinking, I can't lose this now.
No service.
I can't lose this call. I get out there, and I'm in between plugging my ears and out in the parking lot. And she's, you know, then there's a lot of background noise there at the auction. Yeah, it was pretty hectic.
It's crazy
I didn't even
because
know if I got it or not.
it's crazy to think he was making that when most guys were just making, you know, simple spears that you can find anywhere now. But
Yeah. Same thing with his fish. I mean, that's why I'd say he's so far up beyond it. Anybody. Well, I can't say anybody. There was some really good talent back then.
But a lot
But
of
not
them-
in this. I mean, how can you make something to this end and then be able to turn out, you know, a fish like that?
Well, and all those
How
old-
many guys can do that?
A lot of those old Michigan spears made Minnesota spears look like nothing. Like a lot of those Michigan guys.
They got
are
a launch,
top of the
head
line.
start because they were spearing way before we were up here. I mean, we weren't even up here. You know, them guys are already spearing way back. You know, that Lake St. Clair area
Yep.
goes back a long ways. We weren't even, I mean, there was nobody even here. We weren't even here until they discovered ore up on the range, you know, sticking out of the ground. So that's why they come up here. But they were established. I mean, around Michigan, yeah, long time ago.
What gave you the idea to start making spears?
Oh, that happened early, down at Hill Lake. And I think I had an L&M special. You know, it's just one of those memories where when it's all over, all you got is a little slime and some scales floating in the water because you got off your spear.
Yep.
And I was young too. I mean, I think I was like 12, 13. And I'll never forget that I'm looking at that spear and I'm looking at that barb, you know, how they just went in and they cut a little bit and then they bent it out. Oh, hey, those should be banned because all it is maiming a lot of fish out there. I mean, you got to have something to hang on to that fish or it's just killing them. But there was, you know, I hit that fish. It was a nice fish. And as soon as I got taunt on the rope, it was off. So I don't know how well I hit it, but it pulled right out of that fish easy. That's when I started looking at the barbs. And I mean, you know, in 7th grade in Greenway, we were already, with Bugsy Bogdanovich, we were already forging. We were forging gas welding and stick welding.
I'll hold it for
Stick welding in 7th grade. I mean, that's, you know, you go over there today and all that stuff is gone.
Yep.
Well,
I wonder where a lot
a
of it
bunch
is.
of it right here. We bought the machine shop.
Right.
But
Well, that's the sad part about some of these Iron Range schools and schools across the Northland. Kind of, we're losing a lot of that, you know, the money to to push you like what you learned in shop class.
Well, I went to
it's
that.
just not
it
around
was
anymore,
actually
which is sad.
a vocational course.
Right.
3 years. You couldn't have it. It was 3 hours a day for 3 years.
And that heavily influenced
Machining.
your whole career, correct?
Well, that's what I ended up doing for a living.
Exactly.
Well, that and welding. Well, like I was saying, in 7th grade, we were already forging the gate hooks is what we started with. It was a gate hook, and then we made this. I got it laying out in my yard over here. It's a planter that I made for my mother. It's got 3 legs, all the bends and everything, and then all the little pot holders, all kinds of swirly stuff in 7th grade.
Right.
And then at the other class by Bugsy was we had gas welding, which is just an imitation of TIG welding. It's the same thing. You got hand and eye coordination, and stick welding in 7th grade. We liked it. I liked it. I know. So that's what kind of got me going. But with that experience at that age, with welding and working with metal already at that age, with the spear deal, I looked at it, I go, I think I could do better than that. And then maybe the next fish I hit, that it isn't going to come off. And you just didn't find I didn't find no bets up here until, I didn't even know, I don't know bets when I'm 12, 13.
Right.
But I knew who he was as time went on, but I didn't have access to any of that. Spears, you're lucky you had a bicycle. You want a top end spear? No. So, yeah, you didn't run across them, so I started making my own.
Yep.
But I never made any, amount. I just started dabbling with it. And then when I worked in the cities at Ramley Engineering, I had access to all that stuff, to the whole shop, so I could weld and machine whatever. So then I started getting into it big time then.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of your spears, you made like a couple. They kind of looked alike, and they kind of evolutionized within like a pair or so.
Yeah, it's. I'm still trying to figure it all out.
Right.
I mean, I'm looking for my signature spear. Is what I'm looking for.
How many have you made?
And I bet you I've made like 15 different styles. Right. Looking for my style, but I've still yet to find it. But recently, with the Michigan, I go to Michigan a lot and see a lot of spears. It's kind of influencing me a little bit. So I got an idea right now, and I've already done some tests for my new, that new user spear. Not going to be no competition spear like that.
I was gonna say, by the looks of it, it looks like you got your style figured out right here.
It's going to have a touch of this guy. It's going to have a influence of this and a sprinkle of this guy over here. Okay. That's my plan. I got it all right there. It's just got to make it happen.
Yeah. With all that time you have on your hands, right?
Yeah. If I quit working on everybody else's spear, I might have a chance.
So, did you answer the question? How many spears have you made?
Oh, total? Oh, I'd have to say, I don't know, 50 maybe.
How many decoys
60.
have you made?
About a dozen.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
And these are
Zach's
yours?
got my first one.
These are yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the sister to that fish, number 1.
Yeah, number 1, but that one's got a lot bigger
Yeah.
fins.
Well, I remember Rabbit going, "Where's my first fish? I don't know where it went." I said, "It's in my cat." "What do you mean it's in your display case?" I don't remember. So I don't know exactly how that whole story went, but
There wasn't alcohol involved, was it?
I would say I don't know about that.
And this is a nice decoy for number 2 here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and isn't that style coming from like Kalamazoo, Michigan? Like that style?
Yeah, you're right on it. Yeah. And well, especially the yellow one.
Yep. Because that had like the flared gills, like the head gills.
It's all the fins, that real big
What
fin.
was it? Kalamazoo Bait Company or something out of there? Or who?
No,
what was the maker?
they didn't really identify to any. It's like some other fish that you see in Barron's book and stuff. They haven't identified it to.
Gotcha.
Is it herders? Is it that one out there in Michigan?
Yep.
They haven't been able to nail it. So it's kind of that deal.
Okay.
Do you have a secret to cutting stainless? Do you have some really big, like, shears that you use? I've used stainless and it's hard to cut.
Big time, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you mean cutting as far as cutting the piece off?
Like the
or
fins
turning it,
for
turning it?
fins.
Your fin material. How'd you cut those?
Oh, I thought you were talking about the spears. Yeah, it's
I almost don't want to do it when I do it because it's such a pain in the butt. But
It's all in your snips.
Looks
You
good.
got to have the right snips.
Sure.
Gotcha.
And they got to be super sharp.
Yeah.
And then you got to be able to cut out at the tip. Not just down,
Right.
you always go down to the bottom. Well, you got to get to where and have shears that when you get out here, and if you need to make, start making a roll or a radius, you can do that and still cut at the tip.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I use. But yeah, you're right. Hey, I love the way it looks when it's all shined up. It's tough to work with. It's same with machining them.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these stainlesses, they're just nasty.
How about machining copper?
Yeah. I got a lot of experience in that too.
No,
I don't like machining copper.
Well, I just was saying because I remember
I know.
last
Yeah,
year.
I almost lost my hand over piece of copper.
That was kind of the match to this spear, wasn't it? That you
Yep.
hurt yourself on.
'Cause
Yep.
Bruce Dixon has that one, correct?
Yeah, Bruce has got it. And I traded him for his decoy box. You see
Beautiful.
he's got that carving. It's
Yeah.
really nice.
All the Minnesota
Yeah,
legends
we
are
traded.
carved on it.
And I knew, given, letting Bruce, in a way, get it, that it was going to get some exposure, on his end down there because he likes to show, stuff that he has. So, yeah, it gets more exposure than it would if I had it, But there's a lot of people that visit him still, and he still shows you all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, that copper is, it's so gummy and malleable that it can grab.
And it heats up fast.
Well, yeah, so does brass and anything else.
Does
But
that stuff?
it ain't the heat. It's malleable. That tooth grabs and wants to go deeper. And it just wants to grab and like.
Kind of becomes one with the whatever you're
It
drilling with.
pulls. It pulled that piece right out of that. And I
have
didn't.
that
I
piece
didn't
in
just
my
have
shop
it.
that
I
almost-
didn't just have it in a vise. I had it in a vise, and I had about 8 clamps on it, and it still pulled out of that thing. And oh my God, I had one of them superhuman strength episodes. I did. I ain't kidding you. I was holding that thing.
got some
I had
Polish
my fingers
fingers.
down inside of it. If it would have made one rotation, it would have took my hand right off. There ain't even no question. All the tines and barbs are on it.
Oh yeah.
If it would,
Well, and you
I don't
had
wanna
some
think about
outside barbs, just
when
like
I was
here.
holding that thing, and that's a gear driven, that's not pulley. That's a transmission on top of there. And when it happened, it pulled up out of there. I had my fingers in there. I was holding it so tight. I mean, there was smoke coming out of that hole. It pulled up on there. And I can't believe I held it because I knew, let it go, you're dead. You're done.
right.
And I reached up and I hit it and I had to wait, for it to slow down. I couldn't move my fingers or move my forearm for about 2 weeks. It was just unbelievable. You could never do it again. It probably, no way. It was just one of those weird things. But I don't like copper. I love copper, but I don't like cutting it.
Right.
As you can see, copper and brass is kind of my thing.
You can almost always tell whenever you made something because it's got a little rabbit trademark like that. The hood on your dad's car right here.
Yeah.
Like you can just tell, a rabbit's fingerprint.
You mean that hood scoop?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You made your own
I
brass
made
rivets.
them fasteners. I thought,
Copper.
when I got done with those fasteners, I go, shit, I should probably patent these things. They look cool.
Looked awesome.
They're heavy duty and they're not, Chinese. They're made right here in Grand Rapids, Minnesota.
Exactly.
And the right way, that's how I do things. That's half of my problem. Is I get too anal about things and it costs me too much time.
Yeah.
But if you want to, get to the pinnacle of what you can do, you got to push yourself right to the end and see, just get anal and see how good you could be. And then once you establish that, you want to be there.
Yep.
That's the hard part.
It amazes me too. Zach and I walked in here one day, and you'd think these holes in the spear, you'd think you cut them out on a machine over there. But we walk in, and you're on your knees over there on the bench. You got that spear in a vise, and you were grinding it with a tool by hand.
Yeah.
Handheld
I don't-
Dremel.
Yeah.
I don't do anything automated. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
How many Dremels did you go through?
Lots. That's stainless. When you get down to those, every little radius and corner down inside of, with them high, I got some really high speed, that turbine ones, they're 65,000 RPM, the little 1/8 ones, and to get down inside there, and that's not your last time you visited that corner.
Right.
You're just in stages. That's why it takes 3.5 months to make 2 spears like that.
Well, and it says Troumbly. I think you hand engraved that, and did you fill that with like copper or brass or something? Or
On the other one,
on the other one?
copper one, it's filled, I dremeled it down
Yep.
and then I filled it with silver solder.
Okay, that's what it was.
And I always thought about that before because I thought, you know, how nice it looks with that copper background. But how would it work if you just, you know, to fill something in, you know, I just sampled it on there. Well, I had to probably scoop over the top of the letters with a piece of metal, you know, with heat and then go until I watch the bubbles on top until there's no porosity in that bubble, you know, to where you could stop. It takes a while, but it works. It works good. Boy, does it stand out in there too.
It looks amazing.
Yeah, that really turned out nice. I just love the way that brass and copper and all these metals, and then look at the handle. See, everything just marries together. And it's just, you know, that's what I strive for right there. And when I get that, I know when I get there, you know, to where I want to be, is when you put it all together and you look and say, I'm on the right track, you know, and then you're getting closer and closer to finish. And once you got that vision, you ain't stop until you get it, you know.
Well, even in your time guard, you got a 4-point head and just glued right to some leather. It's like, you know.
When it deserves it, it deserves it. I don't care about that beat up old 4-point. I got nice ones in the house I can go look at.
Oh, exactly. I'm not saying anything about that, but it's just, you know,
I got a couple.
You got to be out of the box to be thinking about that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, then you made a mini spear.
Oh, wow.
That was phenomenal. And I think that was you could take that apart, couldn't you?
I knew I was gonna kick myself for selling that one.
Yeah,
but the only reason I did it is because I took it to Chicago to the Nationals, and there's this old guy there who was there the year before. He's from Kansas, and he didn't say, he never talked much, but he was always around the table. You know, he's always one of them guys that was in and then out. You know, he really didn't say nothing, but you remember seeing him several times. That was the first year. And he bought a bunch of spears from me. And I said, where are you from? He says, Kansas. And I moved here from Alaska, he said. I said, oh, you must have speared up there. No, I never speared ever. I said, what do you want the spears for? Because he wanted to buy a bundle deal, you know. And he said, well, you know, I got sick of Alaska, so he's going to move to Kansas, but he always wanted to go spearing. And he's never good. He says, I'll never do it. But you know, he was older, 70, you know, way up into 70s. And he says, I just want to decorate my cabin walls with them because I think they look so cool. And I said, that's nice. I had he bought a couple of Hibbing spears with the wood handles, the nice ones. And then he bought a bats, of course. He took the bats. I was kind of coaching him into what, if you're going to use it for, you know, kind of something that's old and decorative, but it's got value, but there's old and decorative that don't have value. So I just kind of lead him down that road, not trying to get more money out of him. But, you know, he got a Betts and then the Hibbing, and I think he got a Brainerd spear too. So it was those that he bought the first year. Well, that year that I made that little spear, I brought it with me, and I knew I shouldn't have brought it with me because I knew I wouldn't come home with it somehow. It happens every time.
I know you sold this spear here once too and got it back.
Yeah, and I kicked myself in the ass for it. And do you think the guy that I sold to would sell it back to me for the same price? No, but I offered it though.
You know, I couldn't turn down the offer when you offered me more than I paid
It's
for.
my fault, yeah.
Yeah.
So I just figured I'd cut to the chase because if I offered what I sold to him for, he would have said, no, I'd like a couple hundred anyway.
Watching you guys wheel and deal at Perham was probably my favorite part.
That was great. Oh, the first person that comes up with the money or the trade wins. Oh, that was funny. And you guys took off.
Pausing?
I just got to check the camera.
Oh, okay. Remember that, Zach?
Say that again?
God. When I just said, yep, first person that comes up with either the trade or the money gets it, you know, and then watch them all take off.
It was a good hour of back and forth.
Basically like a scavenger hunt with a bunch of little kids. You say, 1, 2, 3, go.
The best part was when Zach come up that one time. It was getting I already had my fun, you know, so I was full. And Zach come up, because he kind of knows what I collect. And he had this wishful look in his face.
Me or Austin?
He did.
Oh, yeah.
Wishful look in his face because he needed one more thing to reach the 3,000. And he came up with, you know, it was kind of, I collected them, but I wasn't feeling it that day. So I
Right.
said, nah, you're killing me, Rabbit. You're killing me.
I remember at one point, Austin come up to my table. He's like just grabbing random stuff. He's like, "We'll figure this out later." I was like, "I know what you're doing right now. It's all good. Take what you need." Because yeah,
That was funny.
and then you told my buddy Brody what spear you picked up.
I'll
and
never forget the look on Brody's face
Yeah.
when I said I bought that from him.
He goes,
Yeah, that
"Oh,
was
this is
a
so
good
fun."
one. That was a good one.
That's what it's all about right there. I mean, that's why I love Perm. Seeing guys like you there, beating people. I mean, even tomorrow at the Bill Green show, just meeting people like that. I mean, you come up to the Grand Rapids show, you get a guy like Rabbit, nationally known spear maker. I mean, Bill Green's probably one of the smaller shows, but it just shows whatever show you go to, you never know what you're going to run into.
Every time I've come to Grand Rapids, I see people that you don't see at any other shows. It's really cool.
Yeah, they don't go anywhere.
No.
They don't go nowhere.
It's kind of an isolated corner of the
Yeah.
state a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you never know what you're going to find. Just tonight, pick up a couple Jay McEvers for pretty cheap. Austin did. I pick up Shorebird. I mean, it's just...
What are the average Jays bringing right now?
It all depends on what they are, but even just the cheaper fork tail workers are $100.
Yeah.
So if you got anything more than a fork tail, it's over 150.
Forktail. What do you mean?
His fork tail is his little worker. It's the tail. He calls it a fork tail. It doesn't look like a fork, but it's basically looks like the end of an arrow.
Just kind of his classic
Like
worker.
yeah.
Because I got one in my box over there. Maybe we can make a deal. You already owe me $100.
Always dealing.
You already owe me $100, don't you?
I do. I got to sell a
from
decoy
our
tomorrow.
last deal the other night.
Yeah, I got to sell a decoy first, Rabbit. So
I didn't mention this at the beginning, but
yeah, go ahead.
This is Zach Edminster with Dewey's Decoys.
Dewey, never heard of him.
Wabana.
Hey, did you take that off of my thing?
No, this is my hat.
Did you see mine?
I did.
Can I buy it?
No. No, that was the guy that I bought a whole bunch of that were in bags.
Then we
Yeah,
got
this is mine.
He said, I got one of those hats. It says pro staff on
Yeah.
it. I go,
Yeah.
I got to have it.
Yep.
Because I got a collection. So, okay.
then we got Austin Den over there with Den's Decoys.
Dean.
He'll be on a future episode here, hopefully.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he made the glass case. I put him in he made one of his decoys in the glass case. And that's
Wow.
usually where I don't sell shit.
And I'm going to brag for Austin here. You said, quote unquote, the best swimming decoy.
Oh, yeah,
you've
it
ever
was.
had.
It was a swim. Remember, I said, yeah, this really swims good. It was one of the other guys that said, he goes, well, you got to try one of mine. I go, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I swam it, and he was right. It was pretty, really good swimmer. Well, it ain't just the fact that it swims, but I like the look of it.
Yeah.
I like that look.
Old school, red, white.
Yeah. And the tone of the whole thing.
Someone say copper?
Is there copper on it?
Fins, yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, we all know what Rabbit likes, so we just make what he
I
likes.
love copper.
So, Rabbit, I probably know the answer because we talked a little bit about it in the beginning, but you maybe it's genre, but who's your favorite spear maker and who's your favorite decoy maker? If it's not him, second.
Oh, spear, it's hands down.
Do you have a second favorite?
Yeah, well, Pimple's up there.
You've had a decent amount of bets.
Rago's number 2.
Okay.
He's Michigan, and I don't know if you're familiar with his stuff.
I don't think I've ever heard
I
of
that
that.
the
I have
nickel-plated?
2 of them. I have 2 of them. One's up in the duck boat, and the stainless one he made is in that
Stainless.
glass case. It's pointing the opposite direction.
I've seen that stainless one. It's amazing.
That's
It's got like the diamond-
That's
the
the
diamond one.
grandpa. That's the grandpa. That supposedly the old he made them out of stainless, and I paid up for that one because it is stainless. It's beautiful. Them guys.
It looks like
And I
those
talked
big-
to John Rago out in Cadillac. Out in Cadillac this year at the show. I never met him before. And I was walking by. I was going to the bathroom. And I just happened to glance by it. I know it. I know Rago spears. And here's his table full of them from one end to the other, and a guy standing there with his wife, and I'm like, that's either him or this guy's selling his collection, and they're hard to get. I stopped right there, and I went right in there, and I started looking at going.
haven't seen
I'm
this one
looking.
out.
Oh, they were honing in, boy.
What's up, Doc?
And I went over there. I go, are these your spears? Are you selling them for somebody or what? He goes, no, I made them. I go, you are? I said, are you John? He said, yeah. John is the youngest one, and he's older than me. And them guys make outstanding spears. Oh my God, I just impressed big time by them. I like exactly the way they make them. You know, their design of the tine and the body. I mean, did you really look at it? Did you really look at that stainless one?
I thought I did, but
Well, we're gonna look after the show here.
Yeah,
for sure.
and I'll tell you.
Be here till 5 in the morning.
It's like a museum in here, a chaotic museum, but a very cool
Hey,
museum in here.
This is Chaos City right here.
I love it.
Yeah, but he's definitely going to be influenced into the next spear. He's one of them.
okay.
He's definitely one of Pimple's another one.
How about
But the rag-out, for sure.
decoys?
Oh, boy, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. You know, it changes. It changes. Are we talking commercial or are we talking folk art?
Folk art. I don't know.
Well, Lexall's got to be up there. He's at the top. Because he's a local guy, the history, you know, the whole thing about him. You know, my grandpa, you know, knew him. And I know my grandpa definitely bought him a drink, you know, for one of them decoys. Because that's what it was, you know, traded for a drink.
I wish those were decoy prices
and,
today.
And my grandpa I got it out of the bag, you know, that's one of the ones in my collection. So that's what started my commercial. But probably Haddon's absolute number one for commercial. But my God, folk art. I mean, he's up there. And of course, you know, I don't even need to mention Janner, but oh God, it's Peterson, Oscar Peterson. You know, if you really get to know Oscar Peterson's work and you study it, don't just snub your nose at it or a look-alike when you walk by. I mean, when you really get into it and you really study the paints, and after a while, because that's the way I was at first. I wouldn't touch it, Peterson with a 10-foot pole. But then I met a friend, you know, from Tennessee there. And he kind of led me along here and taught me all this stuff to look for, and just watching him, you know, and then I started getting into it.
Right.
So once I got the first one, well, that's like Lay's potato chips. You gotta have them. You gotta have the whole bag.
Well, I
you know.
remember that because right when I started hanging out with you, you didn't have any, and then I come over 1-2 times later, and he's got like, I don't know, however many, but
A lot.
Yeah. I've got like three that favorites that I have. And, you know, that bear paw on the northern is crazy. You know, they're in good condition. Yeah.
What's the
Beautiful.
earliest type you have? Because I believe there's 4
What?
types. The earliest type of Oscar Peterson.
Oh,
like
yeah,
type
but
one.
that's just the time
style or
schedules
whatever.
or
Right.
the time levels where he kind of changed the way he did things.
Yep.
You know, periods.
We got
Period.
older and probably
Period 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's pretty easy to start figuring out, you know, that particle and conical area. You know,
Yeah.
I can't even say it. You know,
What's your favorite era?
That's thick, you know it's earlier. That's just one of them, and then the eyes.
Gotcha.
But when you look at the paint on a Peterson, I mean a real Peterson, an older one, and it's got patina, and the varnish is just right, there's nothing that looks like that out there.
Right.
You know, for folk art, it just don't happen. That crack allure, you know, that's on there, and then the tone of that varnish, you can't imitate. There's nobody that's ever going to fake it. Right. They try, but it's not close.
Yep.
But they're beautiful, Petersons. But then, you know, then now next week, if you ask me that question, there'd probably be at least one of them in there, but there'd probably be a different one. You know, that's just how you are. There's just so many good ones.
Get sick of looking at it, and then you get another one.
But, you know, you always have your ones that, you know, that are in the top 5. You know, and definitely them guys are in it. Oh, for sure. Yeah. And you know, this old Bill Green, you know, thing, you know, what he's got the show and everything going. And he's if you ask me a question, who's the most overlooked carver painter in the world? And I'd say Bill Green. And if you ask me why, I'll take you up to the house and I'll show you some of the work that he did.
I agree 100%.
There's one piece only. I mean, there's a shadow box up there that's just killer, ain't it?
It's amazing.
Guy's spear, it's got the spear stuck in the
It's as folky as it comes.
Oh, it's folk art all the way. And then in the background of the painting, he's got like a fish house painted in there. It's got my name on it. And then over here, you know, it's got his name on the other one. There's always a crow. if you ever look at his painting, there's always a crow that's picking at a northern. It's either right outside the door. Do you ever notice that?
I don't. I'm not. I mean, I've seen his stuff, but I haven't paid attention.
There's plaques in the house with the birch bark behind it. Not the Lexall imitation, but the other one. They're just. They don't get much better. So
Well, let's talk a little bit about Bill.
You
It's
have
not getting-
some kind of a connection to Bill Green, don't you?
Well, we were friends.
How'd you meet him?
Oh shoot! How did I meet him? Oh dang! Probably at a show.
Okay.
I heard about. We're talking a long time ago.
Right.
I heard about him, and then where he lived. He lived in the prairie, and it's just as the crow flies, it's 2 miles. And I went over to his house, met him a long time ago, and it just sparked from there. We were good friends. We did a lot of dealings together, and he always won. He did. You thought this next deal, I'm going to win this one. You ain't winning. Ask Doug, his kid. Ask any of the kids. You ain't winning on.
Because he's done a couple handles on your spears and tying guards just for one of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tying guard. Well, I got that stainless spear, that is dedicated to him, and I, sold it to him. And of course, you think yours was a little bit higher when you bought it back. That was almost double price when I bought it back from Bill.
So you're saying I could have done better?
If you would have waited longer, maybe.
Like I said, Bill's coming out on top.
Yeah.
No matter what. So I just overlooked it. I don't care. But I got some nice stuff up there. That German brown trout. It's just beautiful. I mean, it's this long. Mm-hmm. It's gorgeous. And you look at it and you ask people who Bill Green is, or I thought for sure in his passing that it was just going to explode. I really did. I was hoping. Not just because I got stuff, but only because he deserves it.
Amen.
I mean, some of his stuff, when he's getting older, it's looking a little bit, well, the guy's getting old. I mean,
Yep.
his sight was losing his sight. He's got one eye,
I think
to begin with.
He made till the day he died, didn't he?
Yeah, he made stuff all the way up to the end. Yeah. And, but when he was in his prime, I mean, look at some of his stuff. Tonelli says that Bill Green makes a better Lexall than Lexall does. Hey, that's coming from Tonelli.
Right.
That's saying something. You know, he is. If he says something positive, you better jot it down. So, I mean, that was pretty cool for him to say that because he deserves it. He really does. I mean, some of his work is just really nice. And why it didn't catch on, I don't get it. I don't know if it's because of that. They were hesitant because he was making a reproduction Lexall so close. And at first he wasn't stamping them. And just like that when I sold you. Hey, if you ain't looked at a lot of Lexalls, you'd never tell me that was a Bill Green or a Lexall.
Right.
You'd have to look at a lot of them. I knew, but I thought this one is really, really, really close. And you could fool a lot of people. But that's the problem.
Right.
Nobody likes that shit, about this fake stuff. And it kind of tainted him, I think. I think that's what happened. It tainted him. Then you're known for something that's affiliated with faking. Your career's over, man. You might as well forget it.
I think even if you don't fake, anytime your style is similar to somebody else's, it kind of makes it less desirable.
Yeah.
Right.
And
you gotta take only so much off of it. Like I'm talking about these spears.
Yeah.
Yep.
I want to go so much one way, but
Well, I was just gonna
I'm
say-
going to it's going to be kind of similar to everybody, but I don't want to get too far into what. If I do, I'll change it if I notice it.
Well, because everybody has an influence, and I think there's that fine line where your influence, and then you have your own creative ability, but also a lot of people like to claim they did the first ever. And it's like, well, where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
Because guys were doing that 50 years ago before you ever claimed it.
Hey, that brings up something. When they made these spears here, not very many people ask me, but it would be a good question to ask me, why on earth would you ever want to put a lamination on a spear at the work? I mean, to put it on properly. I mean, to do it. I mean, not many people ask me, but hey, one day I just sat there and I thought, I want a new design again. And it's not going to be my a user one. It's going to be for for a competition. So I want to do something that nobody's ever done. Okay, now just stop and think. What would you write down on a piece of paper if you were going to say, nobody's ever done this on a spear? Now write it down. Hey, anything that you write down, it's been done.
Right.
So the best thing that I could come up with is I thought hard. I've never heard of, I've never seen in any book, nobody talk about somebody taking 3 pieces of metal and laminating them together for your head to start with, just for your base metal, and then work from there. And when I thought that idea, I go, oh, perfect, because I can make one brass and one copper. I said, perfect. I get my favorite 2 metals, I could use for my cover. And once I got that idea, I just went wild with it. I loved it.
How do you attach those 3 pieces?
Yep.
I see there's some some copper pins in this brass. Is it
the brass
pinned
ones
or
have copper
riveted?
pins, and the copper one has brass pins.
That's all that's holding it?
Yeah, and you know what? The old school, just like to put the rivets into bridges. The riveter throwing that red hot rivet up to the guy, he's catching it, and he's got it slamming, and the next guy's hammering it.
Yeah.
That's the same principle as what I did. That's what I almost lost my hand, was doing that. It's the copper one. Because right after I drill the hole, I ream it, and then I warm it up. I warm that pin up. I got them pre-cut and everything. They're sitting there. And I ream it, get it close, just a press or just a heavy press. And I pound it in there, and then I heat it. Well, I heated it just before I did. And then let it stick out a little bit on each side, and then I hit it. Boom, right there, right in, okay, go to the next hole. So I don't wait. You don't want to get a whole string of holes going. If something moves, you're done. I mean, look at all the holes that are in there. So you put that in there, and when you hammer it, I did a test sample before I did this because I wanted to know, because I didn't want to find out when the thing is done, and then you find out it's starting to come apart. That would be like, damn, that ain't good. So I did a test, and I took a plate, and I put about the pins about spaced like they are on there. That's why I got them that close. Well, not super close, but they're, an inch maybe. And I did it, a sheet. I took a chisel, and I had to literally chisel it and tear it right off of there, and the rivets are still held in them holes. It's the material around is gonna fail before that is. So that once I seen that, it's like, I'm going with this. And then I'm just gonna go with, hey, I hope nobody's ever done this, so then I can say I did something on a spear that nobody's ever done. And that's the only thing I could think of. What would you think of? I mean, everything you can think of, would be done by somebody, or you don't know it yet, or you don't know and somebody's done it.
You're definitely ahead of your game.
But that's ridiculous to do for common sense wise. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think I seen you a week before perm.
I look at things. I look at things a little bit more than just using it. I look at it as artwork. Right. For hanging up on the wall. I mean.
Well, that's half the stuff you see around his shop here. It's all rabbit made.
Or influenced. Or I've added something. Or I take something that's somebody's done really good, and then I just.
Well, and you made that Rocket Man or whatever you call it, right?
Yeah, Rocket Man.
Rocket Man, yeah.
Yeah, and you're working on that chandelier behind us.
Yeah, we don't do things like everybody else around at this camp. We don't use antlers. We use the gas pump brass handles off the nozzles with the light strung through a Chevy wood spoke tire or wheel. Yeah, I like it.
That weighs 1,000 pounds.
And make those shades on there and the clamps and everything. I just love doing that kind of stuff. The problem is you don't get paid for it.
Right.
And how do you think you should? I mean,
your body pays for it.
Oh, yeah, and I'm falling apart.
It's like coming to see a mad scientist.
Oh, yeah.
Over here.
Einstein.
Yeah, listen to that laugh.
And you gotta, just rule number one is, I don't know how you are, but I have to have at least 3 things started. They're nothing, they're not even related to each other in no way, shape, or form. And they can't be. Because when you're, even struggling on something, and it's late at night, and you're working on it, and you're having the same problem you had before at one time, and you're not in the mood whatsoever, you gotta just set the tools down and walk over there with that other project. And you always, you know, and the deeper that they get, the easier they are. So you get to pick, depending on how bad you were from that project. I want something really, really no-brainer right now. Right. And those are always usually over here on the table. The no-brainer stuff. Just to get your mind off of it, because it'll drive you nuts.
Yep.
I definitely do that with my decoys. You don't feel like carving, so you go paint for a little bit, then you get sick of painting, so you go back to
100%.
carving.
Or you just go out in the shop and stare at the wall for a couple hours and go back.
Exactly. I probably do more staring at the wall than I do carving.
My wife will, I'll come inside, and my wife's like, "Oh, what'd you get done?" I was like, "I literally just stare at the wall for a couple hours. I don't really know, but."
I would never be that honest.
Yeah.
I might not get to go back out.
My final one is grabbing a piece of 4/0 steel wool and putting it, some of that polish on it, and go over there to that 120-year-old tarnish that's on that vault door.
we gotta
try getting it off of there.
We gotta give the viewers a mental image of what it looks like when you come into Rabbit's shop. So, as you walk in through the front door, you walk through this huge safe vault.
Like you're coming out of it.
Yeah,
it's a big vault door.
It's almost like you just
shop.
walk through a time machine.
And then if you turned around, it'd be like you're walking back. Why are you going back in the vault? I'm leaving.
It's like what it's like when you come here too. It's like a vault getting out
It's
of
like
here.
the Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
Last week, I told Ryan, this place is literally the black hole of time. You walk in here, it's 8 o'clock.
An hour later, you're walking out at 5 a.m.
Exactly.
Well, I just tell people, well, if you want to see what it looks like inside my mind, just come into my shop and it's right there. I don't have to say nothing.
It's amazing.
That's an easy out.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah, this is definitely on the top of the coolest places I've ever been. It really is.
And then the car thing, I'm into the car thing. I got that blue Chevy over there. Me and Tag, my partner there, we're going to start on that sometime this winter. And when we get going and things kind of get toned down a little bit, because I'm still waiting for that period. It's just been crazy.
We're waiting for the spear period to pop back
That's
up.
what I'm talking about. I'm trying to get, so if we get to that,
Yeah.
well, that vault, that thing just sprung up out of nowhere. I was notified about it from a friend to put a silent bid in it, just off of nowhere. And I end up winning it. Well, little did I know, it's 3 months later, I'm still going to be working on it, assembling it back in my shop.
Well, just getting it here had to be a job.
Well, no, it wasn't. It was getting it off of the wall, getting it out of where it was. We were handcuffed literally. I mean, I ended up getting a bunch of pictures because I can't explain some of the that we had to do to get it out of there.
I think I saw a video of you with a jackhammer
yeah.
on an engine hoist.
Yeah.
Getting that off the wall.
Yeah.
And then a couple flexing the guns.
Yeah. Oh, hey, that was the biggest challenge of my life right there. If you want to see it, that's on that board. Me and my partner, we got that. Me and Tag, yeah. And if it wasn't for my helper there, I would have never got it out by myself with my back issues. And he's been around this kind of shit. You can't have a greenhorn. When you're doing something like this, you're gonna die. Right. You're gonna die, and you got to be able to trust the guy that you're working with.
Yeah.
You can't just grab a guy off the street. But we got her, and it was great. I mean, we had to think outside the box. I mean, there ain't enough boxes at the grocery store. I mean, how many times we had to sit there and think, how are we going to get out of this? I mean, it's really almost to the point to where it was like, guys would come over first after they said, "You're crazy," and I said, "Okay, what's new?" And then they said, "Yeah, you're never going to get that out of here." And that's probably the worst.
That was the
that
fuel.
was the thing you don't say.
Fire.
Me and Tag, we said, "Oh, really? Okay,
Watch this.
I will die in here as a bloody pulp before I give up. There ain't no white handkerchief in my pocket, to be waving. I ain't giving up." So when we got it out of there, it was a critical. I mean, right to the end when we put that on the trailer, the brand new trailer, and it was failing. After we got it all the way across, it was working. We had all the weight, spread out with plates, and it could have handled it, but we got to one spot in there and it was failing. And the only way I knew it, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, it's dark. he throws me the chain. I go to put it on there. Hey, I've been watching. I got levels and everything. Thing just came across a skywalk, in the air, on ramps that I had to build to get it out there. And we watched it the whole time. It was perfect. He throws the chains up, and I look down in with the light. Well, that cart was built to be that far off the floor. Otherwise, that thing wouldn't have went through the door. That's how short it is. Well, when I looked at it, and after we loaded it on there, he threw the chain up, there's 2 inches of wood underneath that spot. So what is that telling me? When the decking went from this far to 2 inches underneath it, it's failing right now. It's bowing, and it's going to snap any second. Brand new trailer. 3 o'clock in the morning, we freaked out. I mean, it's just like, and thank God I brought the clamps that I did. Just for the hell of it, I remember looking at them and go, now just throw them in there. C-clamps that are about like this, openings. You don't carry them. I mean, why did I think about it? Hey, why did I think about putting those big clamps in there? Well, when that happened, if I wouldn't have brought those clamps we took a steel beam, one of those beams that are welded up in there for the fixturing to put the hoisting and all the lifting devices. I mean, I had to build a whole menagerie in there to first support this thing. So anyway, yeah, I mean, that was failing, and I got those clamps. We got an I-beam. We hurried up and threw it on the outside railings. You're outside, and then you got the spine in the middle. Well, if you can contain it, you start the quickest thing. Bring it up to that beam on the outside. Put it on the bottom. Put the clamp. It's bowed like this. We just pulled it right up to that steel I-beam. We just straightened that side. Did the same thing on the other, and tag went underneath the trailer. You can see a picture of it. You can see the underneath. We're laying underneath, and you can see the bone. They crawl underneath to put a beam in their jacket up with the bottle jacks. If it fails, you're dead. I mean, you're dead. At 3 o'clock in the morning, that happened to us. So then you can see where we had to transfer it from the dead horse over to the mule, which is my Bobcat trailer, and that hauled it home. But oh yeah, that was. And look at the Circus Act down there with a 1946 Ford 9N or whatever the hell it is. You get off of it, you got to play the hydraulic loss, in your creepage when you get off it, because you only got so much time to get there to try to get a pin in or something, when it gets to that point because of all the leakage. The hydraulics wouldn't hold. It was just, look at it in the middle of the night. We're putting that thing together. That thing, it was the one of the tractors there is almost tipping over, and then they got the Bobcat over there. We're balancing that shit and then running out there and hurry up and tack it. We built that thing in one day for that lifting fixture. One day we did that whole thing because we had that in 2. It was 2. And anyway, to put that box together, there's 5 layers of half-inch plate steel with hundreds of 3/4, 10 bolts, flatheads in each plate. It's incredible. How they built that thing, boy, we sure learned a lot about how they built things.
Well, you can tell they took a lot of pride in their work back then, because
1904.
Yeah.
Hey, if you don't look at that door right there, that cop, and don't think that's cool ass, you better go check your heart rate because you're flatlining, buddy. Exactly. I mean, because that's about as cool as it gets.
Yeah, all jeweled.
I mean, that clock system in there, it's just crazy.
What's the combination?
There is none. There is none. It's just timers. The actuator will not let you spin it when the time is got any time on it has to be 0. Then it will allow you. There was a combination on the inner doors, but those are in the basement. I think I'm going to keep that for a secure room that I have down there. We poured, out a 12 by 12, 9'6" ceiling for a room, and then it's concrete, and then I got a steel beam arching across it. I'm going to build from there down all steel. Then I'm going to put them doors in the middle.
Are you a prepper?
A what?
A prepper?
No, it's for coolness.
No, I don't. That's messing with you.
A prepper. I'm a prepper as far as guns and ammo. As far as guns and ammo.
Right.
I got lots of guns and ammo, for sure. No.
We can take a break. I gotta check this camera.
I can't, my mouth is so dry, I can't even talk.
So for some reason, I don't have any more memory on my camera, but
I'll come back for part 2.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
I'm just starting to get into some good shit.
That rabbit was acting.
We just unplugged him. I think you want to plug him in for him.
So all you hear is yourself.
I forgot we only have
We just hired the new Amish lady.
So do you only hear yourself if you put the headphones on?
No, you hear everybody.
Here, everybody.
Hear what you sound like.
No.
Oh yeah, I hear it now. Oh yeah.
So what else do you do with this outfit? You don't just do
Okay, now I feel like it's
decoys,
really
you do
loud.
other things.
Nope, it's just spearing and decoy stuff.
Really?
Heck yeah.
I can't
Try
hear
that.
myself.
Now we can't hear anything.
What?
I can't hear myself.
Can you hear
I
me?
can't either.
I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you.
Loud and clear.
You can't hear yourself?
Correct.
Talking to your mic. Okay, there's something wrong with your. That's why you're on mute.
What?
I did that on purpose, but
Busted.
I should take a leak quick.
you want to pee quick? Okay.
We can have a bucket underneath the table.
I'm gonna slam this chair into your car.
Or Emily isn't going to have to edit this, is she?
Yeah.
Sponsored by the Clearwater Decoy Show.
Clearwater Decoy Show. All right.
I'm gonna be out of breath.
Tell her to edit the first 15 minutes out of this.
What are you guys promoting, the premiums there or what?
Yep.
Hometown
Sponsoring.
beer.